We live?
Yes, we're
We
live.
are? Okay. We ready.
So we are going to make sure our friends see us, our Facebook friends. Let's see. We got a couple people joining us slowly but surely. So I am going to sit here and make sure all of our good friends can see us, especially like on our Autism Grind Facebook group. Let's make sure they can join in with us. We have a couple people here. Welcome.
Who is in the building? Let's see.
Don't mind us. We are getting everything together so we can get this party going. All right. We have a couple of people.
Okay. They coming in.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
We have a few visitors with us today. So I think now let's see, are we good to go now?
Hello, Camisha. Hello, Stacy.
Good evening.
Hey. Don't mind my voice. I'm fighting this cold.
Yes, she's fighting the cold.
I'm fighting the bad cold.
So I'm going to be talking maybe a little more than her, as long as I don't get in trouble by her mother this time.
Hi, Angela. How you doing? Hey, Whitney. Hey, Greg. See Pleasant in the house.
Pleasant in the house.
We repping. We represent up in here.
That's right. So we are going to get this party started. Okay, so we have a few people joining us. So let's
Whitney
see.
said she made it. You made it? That's right, you made it.
If this is your first time joining us.
That's Sydney. You see Sydney?
Oh, Sydney.
Hey, Sydney.
So, if this is your first time joining us, we probably should introduce ourselves really quickly.
Yes, that's let me see. Miss Long, who's that? Emmy?
Hey. Okay, so if you don't know by now, I'm Dawn. I'm from Brooklyn, so I say Dawn. But if you're from down south, you say Dawn.
Dawn, that's right. I say Dawn.
Whatever you say, I'll be happy with it.
All right. And I'm Daria, and I'm from Sea Pleasant, Maryland.
Okay, so I guess...
Well, you look nice today. Don't you look nice?
Okay, I try. I'm trying to keep up with you.
You don't, no, not with me. Not with me.
You're the one that have the necklace on and everything.
I try to do a little bit fancy, just a little bit. Well, we are up in here today, and tonight our conversation, what's our discussion, is going to be in my feelings.
Yes, in my feelings.
Why my child?
Why my child? So, if you don't already know, we share this common bond. We have children with autism, okay? And please know that you may see my son run in and out of here because we're in my house.
Yes.
So, we are autism friendly. So, that is our bond. That is our connection.
Correct.
And we're here to talk about how it felt to find out that our child was diagnosed with autism. So last time we spoke about the steps in which we found out they had autism. Mm-hmm. But now we're going to talk about how do we feel.
That's right. How do we feel?
How do we feel?
Well, let's start from the beginning because, we never expected this type of life, And if you go back in time when you're a young girl, playing with the Ken and Barbies, and you had this picture perfect ideal family that you wanted, and your kids, you're playing house, and then you hit with I say a bomb.
Right.
It's a bomb.
So, I mean, I know when I was growing up, we used to play house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we had the Barbie and the Ken, the husband and the wife, and then they had the pet dog, and I don't know if they had the little baby dolls back then, but we played house. We imagined that when we grew up, we were gonna have get married, have children, and they were going to live their life as a typical child.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I mean, all of us know if you had Cabbage Patch Kids, you gave your Cabbage Patch Kid a name that you knew you were going to name your little girl. And I think they even came out with Cabbage Patch Boys.
Yeah, I had all of it.
Oh.
I had the Cabbage Patch dolls, the Barbie, had it all.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You had a good life.
I had a good life.
So we all grew up, with this expectation of how our life is going to turn out to be.
Exactly.
When we got older. So, then we became teenagers.
Yeah.
And as we're teenagers, we start liking guys, maybe even imagining how, our future husbands were going to look when we were teenagers, imagining our last name, any cute boy we met, that was going to be our new last name when we got older.
Yeah, because I had some cute ones.
Okay.
I had some cute ones in the day.
And so, you just start, you're a teenager and, you're starting to get ready to go to college and you start thinking about, where are you going to meet your husband or wife?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, you go to college, you go on with your career, and then you meet the person that you love, and then you have a child.
Yes.
So you have a child, and now what are our thoughts?
Well, you're excited.
Right.
I'm already thinking that, hey, if I have a girl, if I have a boy, I have little girls going to we go shopping together, go on to dates, and we're just going to just have that mother-daughter, not say experience, not that I don't have it now, but it's just the ideal situation that she may play sports. I was an athlete. I wanted her to be an athlete. If I had a son, I want him to be an athlete. So those were just the dreams and the accolades that I had, for my child.
And even like if you saw bad kids in the street, you would go, "Oh no, my child's never gonna act like that."
Oh yeah, oh no.
So we have all these expectations on how our child is gonna act, behave when they get older.
And then you want to take them to the amusement parks and just do everything with them.
Right, exactly, exactly. Mm-hmm. So throughout the pregnancy, you usually find out the sex of, well, not everybody. I did. I found out the sex of, my child. So the first time around, I had a girl. So the second time around, I wanted a boy, so when I heard I was going to have a boy, I was excited. I was elated, okay?
Because you started early.
I did.
You did. I don't know what y'all was doing.
My son had 2 pair of little Jordan footies before he was born.
Oh, he was fresh. Oh, you knew he was going to be fresh.
Yeah, I knew. I knew he was going to play basketball or he was going to play football. And
like his dad.
Like his dad.
Okay.
And he was going to be prepared.
That's right.
He was going to be prepared. Did you find out with the sex of the baby?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I found out I had a girl.
Okay.
I was having a girl. And, I'm thinking, she can be a ballerina, had a tutu, had her tights on, I was just, elated.
A tutu?
Yeah, tutu.
Oh, you never thought your daughter was going to have a tutu.
I just knew she was going to be prissy, because I'm not prissy.
Right.
Because I'm an athlete, and I just knew if I had a daughter, she was going to be prissy probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, then all of a sudden, we have baby showers. People tell us stories about how to raise our child, and we talk about our expectations on how we're going to raise our child. And then our child is born. Okay, and I know I was excited. I was happy. CJ had it was a really easy pregnancy for me.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It was a really easy pregnancy. So, I mean, it was a perfect pregnancy, actually. And I know you had a different experience.
Yeah, I had placenta previa. So I was basically on bed rest. It was an experience where I experienced bleeding episodes. I went to my third month sonogram, and the nurse asked me, "Are you having any bleeding episodes?" I said no. So, and she was like, "Sure." I said no. And then 2 days later, I just had an episode, and that's what it was. My placenta was sitting over my cervix, and basically I had to be put on bed rest. Couldn't do a lot. Basically, go to the bathroom, from the bed to the bathroom, bed to the bathroom. So I couldn't do a lot of movement due to placenta there. So I had a hard pregnancy, my first one.
And how long were you on bed rest?
I was on bed rest from probably about my 4th month, and then if you had 3 bleeding episodes, you would have had to be hospitalized, and I had 3. But the night I went on my 3rd one, my doctor, she was home. I think she forgot. And me and my husband hardtailed out of there. Because I was 7 months. I would have had to spend 2 more months in the hospital. And I wasn't trying to do that. So I said, let me sit my tail down and follow directions. Because what happened was I fell in the snow. Mm-hmm. And my husband told me not to walk in the snow. And I fell, being hard-headed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I know when CJ was born, he was 2 weeks early. Normal APGAR score, when your baby is born, the doctor gives them a number between like 1 and 10.
Right.
And I think he was like an 8. And then they give them another score 2 minutes later, and then he was like at a 10. And I mean, he was alert, breathing normally. Everything was normal and fine. He took his cute little hospital baby pictures the next day. Cute. I think his father and I went back and forth about his name. That's a whole nother Facebook Live. But he got he was named after his father. Okay. Even though I wanted to name him Christian, he got his name after his father. So he won. And so we left the hospital. And of course he had on his Jordan booties. Okay. When he left the hospital. He met his big sister, and we headed on home. Okay. And so, how was her? When she arrived.
Actually, when it was time for her to come, I had to have an emergency C-section. So, her heart rate was escalating. So then they had to take her immediately. But she was fine, healthy, alert. She wasn't in. Instacare. I mean, what is it? What is it?
ICU.
There you go. ICU. Like Instacare. Right, I'm tired. Right. The autism, the brain. You autism mom. You tired. Right. So yeah, but she was normal. Healthy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So.
Oh, my husband. Oh, he said I was hard headed.
I think he was talking about my husband being hard-headed.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I'm pretty sure he's not talking about you.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't need y'all going back and forth.
Yeah.
So when CJ came home, of course I wasn't expecting anything to be wrong with him. So right. I mean, I wasn't looking for anything really like that. So, once again, I saw some signs, lack of eye contact when he was nursing, lack of engagement. So when I would see him, when you see babies, sometimes they get really excited, put their hands up, come get me, grab me, get me out this bassinet, get me out this crib. He never was like that. He would just kind of look at me, and I just kind of took it like, okay, he's saying, this woman again. But, after a while, I was like, you know what? Something is wrong. He just lacks social engagement. And so after about a year, we went ahead and got him infant and child services, and still no language, no mama, dada. Babbling didn't start till about 2 years. But before 2 years, he was already in services.
Okay.
So,
well, how did you feel? I mean, what are your feelings? So now, like I said, we wanted the feelings.
Right. So, my feelings. So, when I first realized something was off, I was being like, tiger mom, okay, so I'm thinking, okay, I need to fix this. I need to get him some speech.
Okay.
Because the first thing that came to my mind is he needs speech. Then, as he got to be like 18 months and he still wasn't talking, I started to feel scared.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was like, okay, so it went from sense of urgency to sense of urgency plus scared.
Okay.
What is this?
But when did you realize it? I mean, when did you the realization hit you that something was really wrong with CJ?
I'm trying to think. The realization probably happened when, he just was, okay, so I went back to work when he was 14 months old, and he was in a daycare center, and he was like in the infant and toddler room. And so when the children got to 2 years old, they were promoted, quote unquote, to the next room. Okay. Now, some kids were promoted earlier than others. And so as CJ was in daycare, kids were getting promoted to the 2-year-old room, and my baby was still in the infant and toddler room. And so
he didn't get promoted. He didn't get promoted. Oh.
And so, and for good reason, they were not, they were not discriminating or being biased. Right. He was not doing the things that he needed to do, such as hold his own bottle even, or listen to commands. Okay. I mean, not to say 2-year-olds listen to commands, but some. Yeah. And so at that moment, when they told me, when he turned 2 years old, and he wasn't going to, they were like, well, Miss Allen, he's 2, but he's not ready for the 2-year-old room. I knew then and there that something was really, really wrong. Okay. So, at that point it was sense of urgency, scared, and, just that sense of urgency. So both of them. But I was starting to get sad.
So did you realize that your life wasn't going to be what you expected to be for your son?
I had an idea.
You had an idea?
I had an idea because he was 2.
Okay.
And I knew that what was going on was not normal.
Okay.
So I feel I was sad, disappointed, but I knew that we had to find out what was wrong. And I kind of knew it might have been autism, but I didn't want it to be autism. Okay. And so I just went through it. So when was your moment of realization?
Well, let's see what Stacy asked. Stacy asked a question. Let's see here. She would love to know.
I would love to know from each of you. Who was your biggest support system after the diagnosis when you were in your feelings? That's a great question. Stacey, I think it's good that you asked me that, because I can't honestly tell you that I was out running and telling the whole world when he was diagnosed. Oh, my son has autism. There was a part of me that was a bit quiet and trying to figure it out, going through my own feelings. It was more so like, I would have to explain it to people. I think I was a bit sad at first. But, I definitely told close friends and family. And so my close friends, my mother and my father and my brother, those were definitely my support system at that time. Okay. So now with you, what before you tell us about your support system, how did you feel when you found out, when you realized something was wrong?
I was hurt, disappointed.
Well, what happened that you realized that something was wrong?
Around about the 18-month, I lost eye contact. She wouldn't look at me anymore. But before then, Dara was babbling, Dara was crawling, but now looking back, let's go back. She crawled differently. She did. She crawled with a limp. Okay. And I just thought that was just her style, because girlfriend was fast. Right. And I just thought, hey, that's the way she learned to crawl, but at least she moving. Right. She getting from A to B. Right. But then all of a sudden, she wouldn't look at me. And then she became a tippy-toe when she started to walk. Okay. And then she started pacing, and she was all over the place. Okay. And I'm like, just sit down, sit still. Okay. And she wanted to crash into the couches and stuff like that. And I'm like, what is wrong with her?
Right.
You know, something ain't right.
But how did you feel?
I knew something was wrong. And I think I was more disappointed for her because, again, in this world that, you know, when you know that something is wrong, how the world will accept her. I think I was more disappointed. Hurt to a certain degree as well, because I knew I wasn't going to have that picture perfect life with my daughter the way I pictured it to be expected.
Your expectation.
My expectation.
Right.
Like I said, you're young. You say, okay, me and my daughter going to do this. We're going to do that. And then to me, I felt that was taken away from me.
Right.
You know, in the way that I wanted it.
Right.
You know. So more disappointed than hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, what piggyback on what you said. I know I went through the same thing. I felt like my son was cheated.
Okay.
You know, I believe in God.
Yeah.
I still believe in God. I wasn't blaming God, but I did feel when I realized something was going to be wrong for a long time, I was like I felt like I lost a battle. You know, even though he was only like, you know, 2 years old, I was angry.
Okay.
I was disappointed. I felt like I lost the game, if that makes any sense.
No, I understand. Yeah.
And so, you know, I had to go through all of those feelings, like, you know, and initially, you know, along with that, it was, okay, Dawn, you need to go ahead and figure out what does he need. So, you know, I would get services for him. But that initial bam.
Yeah.
You know, like that initial gut punch, like you like to say, was a bunch of feelings. And just like Elodie said, you know, you had to mourn.
So did you mourn?
I mourned. I think my method of mourning was get him services, but I was very quiet.
Okay.
I think I was quiet amongst... I talked about it, but I didn't talk about it a lot with people.
Okay.
I was still in denial. Let me not say I was in denial. I was in denial, but maybe if I don't talk about it, it won't exist mode. If that makes any sense to you, you know, it was definitely a complex set of feelings.
I feel
so, you know.
What's Amy? Amy asked, let's see.
Let's see, we have some questions? Okay. Did either of you have to deal with any family members with denial that your child had autism? That's a good question.
Good question.
You know, now I think my immediate family was like, yeah, you know, he probably does have something going on. But it's funny when you meet people in the street or at the park or sometimes at events, they'll go, nothing's wrong with that boy.
Yeah.
He's going to grow out of it. He just doesn't feel like talking. And guess what? A part of me did want to believe that.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because you have some family members, you know, because it's new, especially when you're not used to seeing that, you know, and they don't want to accept it.
Right.
You know, so, but it got to a point where, why you don't want to accept it? If I have to accept it, you need to accept it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but you're right. When you have family members that don't want to accept it, you also sometimes like, okay, yeah, maybe he or she is right.
Right.
And,
exactly.
you know, maybe he or she, you know, my child will get better.
Right.
You know.
Right. You know, and so now, after you had that gut punch, who was your support system?
Well, let's get back. So I'm gonna go back to the mourning.
Okay.
Well, I don't think I mourned. You know,
okay.
Once, like I said, my husband and I, we got the diagnosis. Okay, it is what it is, and we came up with a concept that said you got 60 minutes. If you're going more, you got 60 minutes. And I understand everybody process it differently.
Right.
Okay. But in my household, I say it's like we got 60 minutes because after that, you mourn, you grieve, do what you have to do because now we got to get he or she what they need.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Because if you're not right, you know, I can't tell somebody how long to, you know, mourn.
To mourn,
you know.
right.
But in my, you know, in our household, we was like, okay, you can't change it.
Right.
You got to keep it moving. You know. Yeah.
And I think that we're both, we have similar traits in that manner, because we had a support system. You know, unfortunately, not everyone has a support system. And, I know when CJ was in preschool, and I would take him to class every day, and I would bump into an autism mom, and she seemed fine. She seemed mentally healthy, quote unquote. And then one day, I stopped seeing this woman. This woman would drop her kids off. She had 2 kids with autism. She would drop them off. We would speak, and she would leave. All of a sudden, I wouldn't see her anymore. I asked the teachers, hey, what happened to, I'm just going to give her a code name, Amy. What happened to Amy? Amy went to the store and never came back. And so
who had the kid? I mean, she's never came back.
The father had to take the kids. And so I do recognize that not everybody deals with autism the same way. Right. And we definitely have to support one another, which is why we have support groups, just like that. But that moment of realization and that day-to-day life is a whole nother Facebook Live
that's a whole nother
talk about. But I know that my feelings were all over the place initially. So we have some questions.
We'll say, Monica. Hi, Monica. How you doing? So she made a statement. Yes, family has it. And they say, accept it, but they do it in good faith.
Right. So she's saying that basically, that, families will say, nothing's wrong with him, but they don't mean any harm.
Right.
And I do get that part too. Sometimes I think people would say it when he was younger to make me feel better.
Right.
That wasn't really going to make me feel better because I knew that wasn't the truth.
Right.
But let's see. We have a few people here. Hey, Latoya. My family said that they said that, and they still say that. Yeah. And I think people do talk about, nothing's wrong with him. He's going to snap out of it.
Well, I think sometimes some family members, I think they're embarrassed. I'm gonna be real. I think they may be embarrassed. Okay. Because sometimes, depending on the family member and the closeness, I think they don't want to accept it because they may be embarrassed of the fact that maybe the sister or the niece or whatever has autism.
Right. And that's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother. Yeah.
And that embarrassment. You would think that the autism parents may get embarrassed, but you're saying that family members may feel embarrassed as well.
Right.
And I think some families feel shame. Shame saying, my son has autism, or, my relative has autism, because they feel it reflects something negative on their part. So we have a lot of, people who will not tell you that their child has autism, and some of that, like you said, comes from embarrassment, and it comes from shame. Yeah. And, a lot of people say that happens. Let's see, what else do we have here? And so, let's see. Back on that shame thing, we have a couple of people who say, the father can't accept, fathers can't accept it. And I think fathers do have a harder time, accepting it. Or let me not say accepting it, maybe just embracing it. Or do you think some fathers feel embarrassment?
Yeah. I think sometimes they process things differently,
Okay.
And also it can be, for instance, especially if it's a boy.
Right.
I know I've talked to some fathers, it's hard for them because that's their son.
Right.
And they, and they, they picture their son to be a certain way.
Right.
Or, they want their son, like I said, to play sports or be this tough guy. So I have run across that.
Right. And, I know Stacy said that dads are fixers. Okay. So dads are supposed to be able to fix everything and anything in the household, outside the household, anything mom can't fix, dad's supposed to fix.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's that expectation. You know, protect the household.
Right.
And since you know, I could see how a father can feel conflicted in that nature if he can't fix it.
Right.
You know, and so you know, that is a good point. And let's see, we have a question from Latoya. Do you all deal with feeling lonely because you have friends that don't understand what you all go through with autism?
Well, Latoya, based on my personality, I don't care. I don't. Because if you're my friend, you should accept my situation, just like I accept your children, okay? And respect that, you know. And if you are my friend, you'll be willing, to become knowledgeable and respect the fact that sometimes my child can't go.
Right.
Not that I don't want him or her to go,
right.
But you have to respect that. So if you can't respect my child and the dynamics of my lifestyle, we can't be friends. Right. That's just me.
Right.
That's just me. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think that when it comes to friends, my experience with friends was overwhelmingly supportive. There would be times I would be like, no, I'm not going to the barbecue because there's not going to be anything for CJ to do.
Right.
And they were like, well, what do you mean? We already set up the computer room. He's going to be on YouTube. He's going to have his own laptop. So
well, those are friends.
And those
exactly.
are my friends.
That's what I'm talking about. That's right.
And they were accommodating him before I even had to say anything.
Right.
So, and then remember, we have each other.
Right, exactly.
We live 5 minutes from each other. So, you know, we have each other and we bring our kids over to each other's home. And
our friends know. And our friends
know. Right.
But when you come across those that, you know, they question, well, just bring her. No, I can't bring her. You know, because I don't want it. And it also, I know my child. I know her anxiety. I know that might not be the right place and time to take her. Mm-hmm. So, but if you have a problem with that, you might just have a problem with that.
Right.
You know, so that's like you say, that's just me. But your friends, if they are your real friends, they will respect your decision and respect your child and the dynamics of your life as it is. Right. Bottom line.
You know, and you know, so in regard to just, you know, my emotional dealings with my friends, we are fine. They invite my son to their birthday parties and their kids' birthday parties, and you know, I'm blessed to have a great support circle.
Yeah.
So you know, we just take it day by day. But let's see if we have any more questions here. We have a lot of love being given. You know, we got Dara's uncle talking about.
No, that's my brother. That's right.
Yeah.
Girl, I'm tired.
Saying he's not ashamed of his niece. That's one thing. I'm talking
that's
about.
One thing you can do. You know, if you're an autism parent, just say you tired.
Right.
That gets you out of anything.
That's a whole.
The clarity. That's a whole no. With the clarity, I'm tired.
Exactly. But you know, I think we go through day-to-day emotions with our children.
Take her wine away. I ain't even had no wine today, Stacey. That's the sad part. Usually I'm loaded with the wine, but I had this cold. I said I ain't gonna drink my wine today.
Right.
Maybe I need it.
Right. Maybe.
I may need it.
She may need it. But you know, we I mean, emotionally, I can't tell you that I still don't process it. You know, my son having autism. You know, I have my days. I'm like, you know,
really?
He's 16. You know, and he is, and there's a football game going on at his high school, but you know, he can't play football.
Right.
You know, so I can't tell you that I still do have my time-to-time moments where I'm like, I wonder if he even realizes what he may be, missing out on. Me as his mother, of course, I know. But my son seems perfectly fine. So I'm the one going through the emotions.
And we do.
Right.
I think as parents, we take more of the hit because they're in their own world and they love in their world.
Right.
Right. But again, that's our ideal picture perfect life and what we want them to do.
Right.
And that's what we have to realize, okay, hey, if they're okay, if they're happy, and if they're smiling, we doing our job.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but I'm with you. I look at sometimes like, oh my goodness, I might see a little girl and, you know, running, you know, with her friends, and they just talking, because again, my daughter, she's nonverbal, and they just having a conversation, and you look like, wow.
Right.
You know, or just to have that back and forth. Because
Right.
I would have loved to have my daughter bomb me out. When I say bomb me out, talk
Right.
back to me.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, I have never
Right.
experienced that. I have never experienced my daughter get. Well, she does talk back to me. It just ain't coming out in words.
Right.
You know, but she has what the principle. What is it? The practice, the principles. Because she gives me the noises.
Okay.
You know,
So she still gives you the cues.
to give me the cues. But you know, some things I'm like, man, I wish I, you know,
Right.
could experience that.
And
I
I
think we all go
feel
through
the
that.
same way. You know, sometimes, you know, I do wonder, because my son is nonverbal, you know, what would it be like to have a full-fledged conversation of me and him sitting on the couch just talking?
Just chilling, right?
You know, I do. Now, we do communicate through his device, you know, but I do think that he tells me his needs and wants at the moment. You know, not as much as, you know, we don't talk about his feelings per se. But, you know, I can't tell you that I still don't go through my emotions, you know, like, you know, what would it feel like? Or, you know, I feel, you know, disappointed that I can't have a conversation with my son, you know, and so, you know, I know that I'll still go through things.
Yeah,
you know.
we always, yeah.
And so, and I even know that my family probably feels the same way from time to time, you know, wishing that, you know, what would it be like if he can do this? But then, like you said, on the other hand, that boy is perfectly fine and happy.
They're happy.
And so those are my expectations, or lack of expectations.
Exactly.
So,
but let me give you an example, because when I say not experiencing things, but I'm gonna tell you what Dara did. Dara actually now, she looked at me. I told her to do something, and she stomped upstairs, switched her butt upstairs, and closed the door. But I was so excited,
right.
You know, and that's crazy because, you know, us parents, I was like, did she just get smart with me? And I was like, yes,
right,
because it gave me some of that what I say, that typical behavior, you know.
Right.
I was elated. I was like, me and my husband was like, did she just do that?
Right.
And we gave each other a high five. We was like, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
even though it's not the right behavior, but I take it.
Right.
I take it. If I can get it, I take it. Because again, sometimes, like you say, I wish she could do that. And she did, and I was like, wow.
Right. Exactly. You know, I think we're the only, I'm not going to say we're the only ones, but we're a certain group of parents that, you know, if our kids even tried to talk back to us, we're like, all right, high five. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, girl, I'm excited. Yes.
Right.
Girl, yes, and they're in there, she's like, I mean, and I say, what you say? I mean, she's really having a conversation with me. I can imagine what she's saying. Because I know
you
she calling me
know
names.
what she's saying.
Well, I know what she calling me. I know she I already know what she calling me.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And I might allow her to get away with it.
Okay.
And people are like, you let your daughter talk to you like that? If you only knew how far we've come.
Right. Exactly. The fact that she can even do that, I'll take it. Exactly.
What Elodie say? If she cussed me out, I would let my daughter cuss me out. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Elodie said.
Well, Elodie said
that
right.
Her
cuss and I was praising.
She said her son cussed and she was praising.
Elodie, I'm with you, but I am with you. Cause mine started cussing. Hey, we gonna hey, I'm at a party or something. Cause then you look at it, she actually said a word too.
Right.
You gotta embrace that. You have to embrace. So those are the things that sometimes parents, you know, parents of autistic kids, we accept it. And where in the typical world, oh, that's not right, and that's not correct, or you shouldn't allow that. In our world,
right.
If she does that, oh, I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
For now.
For now. But then once I realized she got it down pat, then we gonna have problems.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, Mom, what you talking about? So let's see. We have another question from Jasmine. Hey Jasmine. Hey ladies, do you feel like or have you felt like you baby your children more because of their diagnosis? My son's father thinks I baby my son. My son is only 2.5 and newly diagnosed with autism. Woo,
Yeah, baby.
Jasmine,
Yes.
Jasmine, do you know me?
Still baby CJ. Yes. You still
So
put his
my
coat on.
son is 16 years old, and I've had plenty of aides and teachers throughout the years tell me, leave him alone, let him do it himself. I don't know, but you're right. That feeling of babying him, I do. He's taller than me. I don't know why I'm still babying him.
You still putting his coat on?
He can put his own coat on, but he'll let me put his coat on. You know, because he's like, well, you go ahead and do it. But that's a good question, because that's another emotion and feeling. I'm like, that's my baby.
Right.
Now, sometimes, you know, people will say, well, no, you're hindering him because you need to help him to grow up.
Right.
You know, and do things on his own. But I'm the only one. Now, his sisters do not baby him. They'll go, CJ. Let's see. I think CJ gonna come join us. Actually, is that CJ?
That's CJ.
Oh no.
Oh,
that's CJ. But you know, we are very guilty. But we are very guilty. But you know, I'm sorry. That was my husband came down here.
I pay the bills.
He paid the bills.
I'm sorry, my husband interrupted. But my daughters do not baby my son. My son is in the middle. He has an older sister and a younger sister. They'll tell him, CJ, put your shoes on, tie your shoes, zip up your coat. So, but I'm guilty of the feeling of babying him. Do you baby, Dara?
When she's sick, probably. That's it. No, because I push Dara.
Okay.
I do. Don't get me, I love Dara. I love on her a lot, but my main objective, I want her to be as functional as possible. You know? So, but with realistic expectations.
Right.
And that's what we have to understand as parents. You have to know your child and be realistic of where they are and what they can do. And how far you can push them. And when I say push them, I make Dara do, you know, for herself. Now, do I help her? Yes. Or if I'm in a rush? Yes. But I don't baby her to him, like I said, to stop the progress of, you know, especially like life skills, stuff like that. No.
You know, I also think I'm guilty of feeling bad for him.
Okay.
And I think that is where the baby part comes from.
Yeah.
And I know that I shouldn't do that, so let me acknowledge that. But I do feel bad for him sometimes, and I probably feel bad for him at the wrong times because he doesn't feel bad for himself. But sometimes I am guilty of doing a little extra for him because I feel bad. And I don't know if that's a feeling that a lot of you have, that you feel bad for your child, so sometimes you do extra for them. But
well, you're protected. I mean, like you said, you do feel bad because you always want to be protected. You know, you want to protect them. But, you know, certain things, stuff that I know that she can do, I let her do it. No, I'm not helping you. And I let her work it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I know Stacy asked, you know, do my other family members balance it out? Oh, yes, they do. You know, between his sisters and his father, they stay on him like white on rice. They make sure he is cooking his own food. He is, you know, tying his own shoes, doing everything he needs to do to be independent.
Good.
And so, you know, I do know sometimes they tell me, they put me in my place from time to time. So let's see, we have some more questions. Let's see.
I saw a question from Marilyn. Hi, Marilyn. Keep going out.
Okay. She the producer.
I'm the producer today. Okay, what did Marilyn say? It breaks my heart when my daughter doesn't need my help. Like, what do I do now?
That is a blessing.
Girl,
that your daughter doesn't need your help. That is really a blessing. But I understand what you mean, because that's your baby. Yeah. And, you know, and we are connected to them.
Right. Well, it's like, my daughter, she doesn't want me to hold her hand.
Okay.
Well, if you don't want me to hold your hand, I'm need you to look at what you're doing. You know, trying to be cute. You know. So, but I look at it as, wow, her independence. You know, so she's exhibiting the skills of separating herself and saying, hey, I have the confidence to do this myself. And that's rewarding to me, you know, for me to see that she does have that confidence, you know, even if it's something as simple as like not holding my mommy's hand. Let me go. Let me do. So now, to me, in her mind, maybe she's processing that, hey, I can do this. I can do things for myself. So that's the way I look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always happy when CJ can do something independently. You know, I think I am guilty of the mother-son relationship, which is probably something outside of autism. You know how mothers baby their sons, and you know you have a daughter, so you raise her outside of autism.
Right.
Your moms raise their daughters and love their sons. That's what they say.
Well, no, but hey, I got a son too.
That's
you know,
right.
I have a son too. That we looking at it.
Okay.
So I may have two, but totally different.
And
totally different.
What is your feeling that you could possibly have a second child on autism? But why don't you tell him his age and really quickly, just
I have a son.
Why do you think you have that concern?
He's 4. Oh, no, he ain't 4. See, I'm tired. He just turned 5, and you want to know how I feel, or
well, so just tell him why do you think he's maybe on the spectrum?
He does lack social skills. He has repetitive behavior.
Okay.
He has more anxiety than my daughter. Okay. He has more aggression than my daughter. Okay. You know, but he's more high functioning.
Okay.
He is verbal, but he does have language delays. But he can talk. When I say he is verbal,
right?
You know, but.
And then how does that make you feel that you may have 2 kids on the spectrum?
No, it's to the point. That's all I know. I tell people, you know, people look at me crazy, like, what do you mean? The kids in my house, I don't know what it is to feel to have a child, as they say, neurotypical. That's all I know. Mm-hmm. You know, but it is what it is. You know, hey, my job is to provide for my kids and to try to make them as functional as possible. Just like neurotypical parents. What you do, you raise your kids to try to make them as functional as possible. And that's all I'm doing. However, my child may have weaknesses, but I still have to establish the same principles, trying to make them as functional as possible. And that's my main goal, and that's my concern, you know. Mm-hmm. But other than that, you know,
yeah,
it is. I mean, I just now have to process my life and build my life around what is presented before me. That's all I can do.
Right. I
can't manipulate it. I can't make it the way I want it. I have to deal with what's in front of me, and I have to deal with what the hand that was dealt to me. But the only thing that really, really sometimes, may bother me is longevity. That's a whole nother show.
Right, but it's a feeling.
It's a feeling.
So like you described 2 feelings
right
just now. The one feeling that a lot of people have is if you have a child with autism, just like LaToya just said, you have a fear of having another child with autism. So is that a fear that you had when you were pregnant with Dalton? Did you fear you were going to have another child with autism? No, because what I kept saying was, okay, wow, I'm going to have a second child. Now I got somebody that's going to take care of Dara. Okay. That's what immediately, again, my expectations. Right. So it's like, okay, good. I'm going to have someone here. I'm going to, what I always say, I would never burden him to take care of Dara, but he will be conditioned to understand and know that he will be able to take care of Dara. Now, again, that's another gut punch that I'm hit with, hey, I might got 2. Right. Now, both of them looking at each other like, who will take care, you know? So it never crossed your mind that you may have another child autism? It never crossed my mind. Because I was already excited and elated that, hey, I'm going to have someone here that's going to now take care of Dara. Right. Okay. So that's deep. CJ is my second, and I have 3 kids. I had another child after CJ. I can't tell you that I felt that I was scared. I was scared to have another child with autism. I prayed on it, My husband told me.
My brother's so sick. He's more talking than the real.
We're laughing at the comments.
Yeah,
really
my
quickly.
brother and my son and my brother actually born on the same day, but I try to keep them in. I told my daughter I did not want my son born on the same day my brother, and they are exactly alike.
Right.
So hey, my brother may have autism. I don't know.
But it's a fear that a lot of women have having that second child.
Right. Right.
So when I got pregnant for the third time and I already had a child with autism, I was scared. My husband told me, you are not going to spend 9 to 10 months worried about this next child.
Right.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Right.
And even though he cut it really sharp to me, I understood what he said, and I actually, stopped worrying, quote unquote. When she was born, she didn't exactly present any signs of autism, and she doesn't have autism. Okay. But in regard to feelings, and in my feelings, when I got pregnant again after my child with autism, I was scared. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have that same feeling if you already have a child with autism. Are you scared to have another child?
Well, they say the percentage is higher. There is a high percentage that your second child or your next child will have autism.
Yeah.
It is a higher percentage that will happen.
So I went to a neurologist when I was pregnant with my third child, and I told him, I said, I'm pregnant again, and I'm kind of nervous I'm going to have another child with autism. And then he goes, oh, the odds aren't that bad. It's just 1 in 40. I'm like, 1 in 40? He said it to me so optimistically. And I'm like, that's not a good number. But, you just deal with the cards that you're dealt with.
Right.
But, back to our emotions, that is definitely something that I was definitely feeling. But you touched on another emotion.
What's the emotion? What emotion? I got all type of emotions, girl. What emotion?
I'm sorry, another feeling.
Hi, CJ.
CJ, you want
to say hi? Come here. Come here.
Right here.
No, she didn't looking at me. He always
bend down.
Bend down.
Say hey.
Say hi. Say hi.
CJ want to make a presentation really quickly.
Hi.
And now he's gone. He's like, okay, I showed my face and I'm out. But CJ made his presentation. He's out the door just like any other teenager. But you touched on another feeling. The feeling of what's going to happen when we're gone to our kids with autism. And that makes me feel nervous too. Yes, I know, Stacy, he got a deep voice. I know. I don't know how to deal with puberty right now. But yes, he has a deep voice. But, yes, CJ, you can go upstairs. He's asking permission to go upstairs. But you also touched on that feeling of what's going to happen to our kids when we're gone. And so, not to say we're going to talk about longevity today, but that feeling. It's a feeling. And that's a feeling that a lot of parents or kids with autism have to live with for the rest of our lives. How do we feel that our kids may outlive us? Right. And so now, do you have a feeling about outliving your kids?
I want to. I know I need to. And that's something that, I have to channel every day, but I try not to think about every day. So I take it one day at a time. I can't do what's going to happen 20 years later. I don't know what's going to happen 20 years later. All I can do is give you what's going to happen right now and every minute to the next day. Right. But does it pop up in my mind? Heck yeah. Because that's realistic. That's reality, But I always tell myself, that's why I always say, I got to stay in shape. I got to do what I got to do because I need to outlive my kids.
And it's such a hard thing to imagine. You wonder how is the world going to treat them when you're not here. Right. Is family going to pick up? I know in my situation, I hope that his sisters will take care of him. If I outlive him. Right. But it's definitely a feeling of anxiety that unfortunately, I can't predict what's going to happen in the future, but it's a feeling.
Right, it's just a feeling, right. But I mean, like I said, I have like my mom, my brother, my sister-in-laws, my husband's parents, my in-laws. I'm sure they can do it.
Right.
But, to me, it's just the responsibility as the mom to say, you don't want to burden anyone with it.
Right.
So that's a feeling that, but I'm sure they will step up to the plate and do right by my kids. Yeah.
Right. And, like Marilyn said, let's see, we have some comments here. Well, that's piggybacking on what we were just talking about.
Miss Ortez, was that?
Miss Angelique.
Angelique? Hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm sorry.
Yes. CJ wants to come back real quickly and show me what's going on. Don't mind CJ. Like I said, this is an autism-friendly show we have.
Again, everybody, you got to understand, this is our life, okay?
Okay, there you go. Okay. This is an autism-friendly show. But, yeah, back on... the comments. What did Angelique say?
My oldest son, who is 19, is not on the
Wi-Fi
spectrum.
didn't work. Can you ask Daddy? Go ask Daddy. That's a whole nother show. Why they ask their mothers and not their fathers.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother show.
And that has nothing to do with autism.
Yeah, nothing to do with that.
Okay, so Angelique, my oldest son, who is 19, is not on the spectrum, but my youngest son, who is 4 and is on the spectrum, that is nonverbal. Let me go back really quickly. He was just diagnosed a year and a half ago, so this is new to me, and she's learning. So, Angelique, we're going to learn together. We all learn day by day, no matter what part, no matter where you are on the timeline, whether they're 2 or 16, it's a learning process, and we all have each other, which is a blessing. Let's see. Marilyn actually asked me, what did I do differently with the next child after CJ? So she's talking about early on, we were talking about having another kid after having a child with autism, and I had commented that my third child did not have autism. Well, my first and my third do not, just CJ. They're both girls. So my first and third child are girls, and they do not have autism, and I think that attributes a lot to why they don't have autism is because they're girls, even though we know girls can have autism.
That's what I my girl
right. And did I do anything differently? I'll be honest with you. Do not take my advice. I am not a doctor. The only thing I did different with my third child is I waited to give her vaccines until she was 2.5. I do not believe that led to her not having autism. But that was something that I did differently. So we're just going through our questions. Let's see. Jasmine said, I think I fear more for the people that don't understand him than I do. So we were talking about outliving our kids. And, I feel the same way, Jasmine. I feel that way now, actually. Just dealing with my son in public, he's bigger and taller than a lot of people, and his behaviors can come off a bit aggressive. And I worry sometimes that complete strangers or a police officer may take his behaviors to mean something, like he's doing something criminal or he's up to something. But of course, when they outlive us, who's going to explain to someone why they're behaving a certain way?
Well, that's what I think your immediate circle, have to become aware and want to learn about it. So I think that's an expectation. I'm gonna put it out there. That's an expectation.
Right.
That if they are going to be your support cast, they have to learn about autism.
Right.
And do their due diligence and understand what it is. Right. So just in case if they have to take care of your child, they are equipped with the tools and have that mental toughness, because this ain't no joke.
No,
it's not a game.
It's not a joke.
And a lot of us are mental toughness. And understanding that their life gonna change. And like I tell people, if anybody in your immediate circle, for instance, your immediate circle life has changed as well, automatically. That's the way I look at it. The day my daughter's diagnosed with autism, I think I said my immediate family life changed. Right. Because again, if anything happened to me, what? They have to step up to the plate. Right. They have to. Right. You know, right. They don't have to, but they should. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's life is affected. Right. Not just my life. Everybody's life is affected. Right.
So let's see. You know, we got Dara's uncle, you know, letting everybody know that he got his niece and nephew. So don't even talk about his niece.
Boy, that's gonna be a hot mess right there. You know? And but I know he'll take care of him though. He will.
So let's see. Latoya said sometimes it's mentally and physically draining. Yes, it is mentally and physically draining. That is a feeling that a lot of us have, more so than moms that do not have a kid with autism. Yeah. So, you know, and we should definitely do a Facebook Live on what do we all do to get through our tough days.
Yeah, that's what we just had a video, our little video, simple self-care. You have to find simple things that will allow you to maintain. Yeah, yeah. Or it's going to eat you alive. Right. And one thing I say, I would never let autism eat me alive. Right. So you got to find, whatever it is, small fraction of the day, 10 to 15 minutes, you know, find something that you enjoy that will allow you to escape. Because if you ain't right, the child ain't gonna be right. Right. So you have to do your best to be right mentally, and to dealing with the situation, and you have to accept it. Right. Bottom line.
And like Stacey said, drink wine.
You know what, Stacey? And you know that's my thing. Right. And drink wine.
I can't believe we've been partying for an hour and 2 minutes.
I know, because you do all the talking all the time.
You're doing all the talking.
You know?
No, we both, I think we
had a good one tonight.
We had a good one tonight.
What do you all think? Did we have a good time tonight? Do y'all enjoy this?
You can also give us, later on, if you want to inbox us some more topics, you know, for us to do our next Facebook grind on. We are really happy that you joined us this evening. We're happy a lot of you are saying you had a good time. And we're trying to do it once a month.
Once a month. Now, we can pop it off a little bit more, too. You know what I'm saying? So, we working on that. But one thing, if you come to our Facebook Live, it's pure honesty. Real. I'm going to shoot it to you real. Because I think that's the only way that we can help one another. Right. Is being real with one another and, you know, and being able to communicate and accept one another. Right. And don't judge. Because the way I do things may not work the way you do things. But I would never judge you on that.
Right. Yeah. No judgment zone.
No judgment zone.
So, we want to thank you. We see a lot of comments coming in.
We got to say
your
thank you.
Brother said,
you know what? He always... My brother's that mess. As you can see, my family, we are straight comedy. I'm trying to tell you. We have a great... And that's why you all have to meet my daughter. Next time I bring my daughter has autism, but she is so sassy. For someone that don't talk, that girl is sassy, okay? I'm trying to tell you. And my son is off the hook. I don't even know what's wrong with him.
They all related to you.
Hey, my house is dysfunctional.
So we want to thank you for hanging out with us this Friday night. We know you could have been doing a lot of other things, but you were here with us tonight.
Hold on. Hold on. My husband asked, Dara has a question. No, Dara. What did he say? What did my husband say? Dara has a question. Why is YouTube deleted from her iPad? Because Dara can't function when I put YouTube on her iPad. That's why. You know, but she is the best little girl. If you put YouTube on her iPad, I don't hear from her.
Well, hopefully her question was answered. But thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out, hanging out with us. And we will be back.
We will be back.
Yes.
Have a good night. Great weekend. And be sure to follow us at Autism Grind. And also feel free to join our group, the Autism Grind group. And the button is on top of our page.
Great group. We get deep, like you say, honesty, and we love to help one another.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Have a good night.
Good night.
Look at me. I can't get off.
Finish. There you go.